So, today, July 9th, 2025, as we're talking, something massive is happening across India. We're seeing this huge nationwide movement, a collective action. The scale is just staggering. Hundreds of millions of people involved. It's happening right now, making headlines, yes, but also really shaping daily life for so many. Welcome to the deep dive.
Our goal today, our mission, is really to cut through all the noise around
Hmm.
this event they're calling the Bharat Bandh of 2025. We're going to dive deep, try and unpack it, help you understand what it is, why now, and crucially, what it could mean for you. Because this isn't just some minor thing. We're talking over 25 crore workers.
Yes.
That's a huge reflection of some deep concerns,
It
right?
really is. The scale, like you said, is just mind-boggling. 25 crores, that's 250 million people. It's hard to even picture it. To give you some perspective, that's more people than live in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand all put together. Imagine all those people stopping work at the same time. That's the kind of scale we're talking about in India today. Wow. That really does put it into perspective. Okay, so for anyone listening who maybe hasn't heard this term before, what is a Bharat Bandh fundamentally?
Fundamentally, it's a nationwide general strike. Think of it like a collective timeout from work. People across all sorts of sectors just stop what they're doing. It's a protest against government decisions, or maybe to demand specific changes. It's a pretty powerful tool in a democracy, right? A way to make a very loud, unified statement saying, we're not happy and you need to listen. It's definitely not just a day off.
And it's not just, say, factory workers. It's broader than that.
Oh, absolutely. Much broader. The participation is incredibly diverse. It's not just one industry or one region. You got factory workers, sure, but also office staff, farmers, and significantly, a huge number of people from the unorganized or informal sector. That widespread involvement really tells you something about how deep and broad the dissatisfaction is. It touches almost every part of the economy.
Right. So let's get into the why. Why is this happening right now? What's the main catalyst for something this big?
Well, the heart of it seems, is this deep dissatisfaction among trade unions, farmer groups, worker organizations. They feel the government's policies are, and this is their phrasing, anti-worker, anti-farmer, and pro-corporate. Okay. And look, this didn't just spring up overnight. These groups actually submitted a pretty detailed 17-point list of demands last year. The feeling now, the overwhelming feeling, is that those demands haven't really been addressed. There's been no serious engagement, they say. And that lack of response, well, that's really fueled the decision to strike.
Okay, so it's a buildup, a feeling of being ignored. And one of the really big sticking points, it seems, are these new labor codes. What are the unions worried about there specifically? It's almost like, imagine you're playing a game and halfway through the rules suddenly change and they massively favor the other team. That's kind of the analogy, isn't it? The unions are basically arguing these new codes weaken protections for workers. They make it, well, potentially easier for companies to hire and fire people without the usual safety nets or compensation. So it's seen as shifting the power balance, creating more uncertainty, more fear about job security for ordinary workers.
Exactly. And that ties directly into wider economic anxieties. It's not just about keeping a job, but about earning enough to actually live on. So you see strong demands for better wages, living wages that reflect today's costs. And linked to that is the call for more government jobs. Youth unemployment is a serious worry, so there's a real push for the government to create more opportunities, especially for young people just starting out.
And this isn't just hitting the cities, is it? We mentioned farmers earlier. They're a huge part of this, too. What are their specific issues driving them to join in?
That's a really crucial point. The rural distress is a major factor here. Farmers and agricultural workers are definitely participating in large numbers. Their issues include things like consistently low prices for their crops, which makes it incredibly hard to make ends meet. There's also a desperate need for debt relief. And they're demanding improvements to schemes like MGN-RAGA, the program guaranteeing 100 days of work in rural areas. They want it strengthened, expanded. Interestingly, there's also a push now for similar job guarantee schemes in urban areas too, recognizing that poverty isn't just a rural problem.
It really sounds like a whole range of interconnected economic anxieties. And another big flashpoint you mentioned is privatization,
Yeah.
selling off public companies. What's the concern there?
Yeah, privatization is a huge one. The unions are really digging their heels in against selling off public sector enterprises. The fear isn't just abstract economic theory. It's about very real potential job losses. Public sector jobs often come with better protections and benefits. There's a feeling that selling these companies means losing that security. It's like the analogy used is like selling off a valuable family heirloom, and the new owner just doesn't care about its history or the people connected to it. Many could be left, out in the cold. They see it as putting profits before people, essentially.
Okay, so we have these major concerns driving the strike. Who are the main groups actually organizing this huge undertaking? And, thinking practically, how might this actually affect you if you're out and about today?
Well, it's definitely organized. This isn't just random. You've got about 10 central trade unions leading the charge. We're talking about major players like AITUC, NTUC, CTU to HMS. Also, importantly, CDOA, the Self-Employed Women's Association, which shows the informal sector's role, and then LPF, UTUC, and others. Plus, they're joined by numerous farmers' organizations, so it's a very broad coalition spanning urban and rural areas.
And for people just trying to get around today, public transport, is that going to be a headache? Oh, absolutely. You should definitely expect disruptions. Buses, trains, there could be major delays, maybe even cancellations in some areas. Best advice, plan ahead. Seriously, look into alternatives, maybe carpooling, working from home if that's an option for you. It's kind of like, planning that picnic and then the rain starts pouring. It's frustrating, but you just have to adapt, find another way.
And that disruption extends beyond just travel. Think about banking. While maybe not all branches will be fully closed, you could definitely find banks understaffed or with limited services because bank employees are part of the strike action. Same goes for postal services. Expect delays with mail and parcels. It's not a total standstill everywhere, but it's certainly not business as usual. If you needed something urgently from the bank or post office today, well, you might be out of luck.
What about things like government offices, schools, colleges? Are they closing down too? Generally, no. That seems to be the good news. Most schools, colleges, and government offices are expected to remain open. So if you're a student or work in a government office, your place itself probably isn't striking. But, and this is the big but, getting there could still be the problem, right? Because of the transport issues we just talked about. So the doors might be open, but reaching them could be the real challenge for many.
And it's important to stress, essential services will keep running. That's key. Hospitals, emergency services, power, water. That critical infrastructure isn't part of the strike. That has to continue. It's like the city's heartbeat, right? It keeps going regardless. Those are protected. As for local markets, shops, they're not officially striking. But the lack of transport might mean fewer customers, so they could see a drop in business today. Your local shop might be open, but maybe quieter than usual.
It feels like we've seen variations of this before, though. This isn't happening in a vacuum, is it? How does this fit into the bigger picture of recent protests in India?
You're right, it's definitely not isolated. This 2025 Bharat Bandh is really part of an ongoing pattern. It shows that these issues, labor rights, economic policy, farmer distress, are persistent, deeply felt concerns for millions. Just looking back recently, November 2020, a huge strike, over 20 Crore workers, against labor reforms and privatization. Then March 2022, another two-day strike protesting similar things, affected services quite a bit. And even just last year, February 2024, another one hitting banking, transport, mining. The same core issues keep coming up. It's a recurring theme.
So it's kind of like a sequel, as you said earlier, maybe, a sequel to a movie we've seen, but perhaps the stakes feel higher each time. It really underlines that persistent feeling that fundamental issues just aren't being resolved to the satisfaction of these large groups. The message keeps being sent. And what about the government? What's their reaction today as all this is unfolding?
Well, as of right now, today, July 9th, there's been silence. No official government response to the strike itself. And that silence, given the sheer scale of this, is pretty significant. It's quite deafening, you could say. It's a bit like, sending that important email to your boss and just hearing nothing back. They saw it, but nothing. For the strikers, this lack of response can often just strengthen their resolve. It adds to the controversy, leaves everyone guessing about what happens next. Will there be talks? Or will they just push ahead with policies? It's a very noticeable silence.
You can almost hear the individual worries underneath the big headlines, can't you? It's not just statistics, it's about real people's lives and anxieties.
Exactly. You can imagine someone like, say, Priya, working at a bank in a big city. She's probably thinking beyond just today's disruption. Maybe she's thinking, these new rules. Could my job be less secure? What does that mean for my family's future? It's about that long-term stability. Or think about Ramesh, a farmer out in the fields, struggling with unpredictable weather and low prices. He might be feeling, we work so hard, feed the nation, but we can barely feed ourselves. When will things get better? Does anyone hear us? Or perhaps Sunil, working in a public sector company for years, now worried about privatization. He might be thinking, my whole career has been here. If they sell it off, where do I go? Will my pension be safe?
It's about dignity, livelihood,
Mm.
and even someone not directly striking, like a student maybe named Anjali, facing exams. She might just be frustrated, thinking, how am I supposed to get to my exam center if the buses aren't running? This affects everyone, not just the workers. These are the human dimensions.
So, looking beyond the immediate disruption, the closed shops, the transport woes, why does this Bharat Bandh really matter to all of us? Why should we pay attention?
I think it matters because these strikes, however inconvenient, are actually a vital sign of a functioning, albeit sometimes strained, democracy. They're more than just about the specific demands listed. They are a powerful reminder, aren't they? A reminder of collective power. And if you connect the dots, this ban really highlights those deeper issues simmering in India: unemployment, inflation, pinching household budgets, the struggles in rural areas, that widening gap between rich and poor. This strike today, it's essentially a very loud knock on the door. It's demanding attention from policymakers. It's a wake-up call saying, you need to listen. You need to address these fundamental concerns. It's not just about stopping work for a day. It's about trying to start a different kind of work, the work of dialogue and change.
So, where does it go from here? What happens after today? Does this huge mobilization force negotiations, or does the government stick to its guns? It really feels like a crucial moment, doesn't it? It's a sort of litmus test for the labor movement in India and for the government's approach.
And perhaps the thought to leave everyone with is this. Behind all the disruption today, there are millions and millions of voices. They're demanding to be heard. And this collective action, this massive pause, it isn't just about stopping things. It's really about trying to start a crucial conversation, a conversation that could genuinely reshape the future of work, of life for so many in India, and maybe change the country's direction itself.